I just want to make
It
sure.
says that it's recording. Yes, it is
Okay,
starting. We
perfect.
will find out at the end if this is successful.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Before I begin, I would love to share a little bit about me. So, my name is Avelina Rivero, and I am an assistant professor and extension specialist in the Department of Family Social Science and Department of Family Health and Wellbeing from the University of Minnesota. Kind of a long title, but my research consists of two parts. First, I explore the role of family and social factors in influencing Latina young women's body image and their mental health. And second, I examine the role of cultural values and processes in shaping family relationships and interactions with the goal of promoting cultural wellness. I'm really happy and grateful to be here with you all, and I really look forward to our conversation on this topic. So, again, welcome to the Body Image, Eating Habits, and Social Media webinar. Please share in the chat these two questions. So, what motivated you to attend this webinar, and what are you hoping to learn? I will also include the evaluation form link, and I'll ask you all to complete it once I'm done with my webinar. But if you could all respond to the following two questions in the chat, that'd be great. And in regards to questions, I will, if you could all just put them in the chat, and then I will answer them maybe towards the end. But there is an opportunity for me to like ask everybody, like kind of a little check-in to see, are there any questions, concerns, or comments? And you can use that opportunity to share a little bit about any concerns you may be having or questions. So I'll give it a couple minutes, like 2 minutes or so to see what everybody's saying. Okay. Awesome. And if you're not able to participate in any of the things that we have today, that's okay. If you're just listening in, that is totally fine. I'm going to wait for at least one more person to include to respond in the chat for more about this topic. All right. Okay, we
Hello,
can get going.
everyone.
Oh, hi.
Hi,
Thank you for
Ibrahim.
coming.
Glad to see you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so I'll get going. Okay, so during this webinar, I will be discussing why body image is important, healthy eating habits, and the signs of unhealthy eating patterns. Additionally, I will discuss the role of social media in shaping teens' body image. The overall purpose of this presentation is really to equip you all with the knowledge and tools needed to support any adolescents, teens, anybody that you work with that are young persons' body image, which in turn the goal is to promote overall healthy development. So I want to start by posing a question to you all. From your perspective, what is body image or what does it entail? Please share in the chat what you believe body image means or what you, from your experience, how do you define body image? And if anybody wants to unmute themselves to share out loud, that's perfectly fine as well.
I can just read from the chat for you. I know people
Okay.
are still commenting on your initial introduction question, but we've got people wanting to learn more. But we also have parents that are just kind of wondering, hey, I've got a youth that's kind of struggling. They're not wanting to eat. Maybe this is a body image issue. So I'm here to learn more.
Okay. Awesome. I like that comment of how you think you are supposed to look. We'll talk about that for sure. Image of your own body.
I think it's really important for me to learn more so that I can help not only my family, but others as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. I just want to be better informed.
All right. we'll keep going. There's a lot of information I'll have to share tonight. All right, so body image is a very complex, multidimensional construct that really involves these self-perceptions and attitudes such as thoughts, feelings, beliefs that an individual holds about their body. Body image is not just limited to your physical weight. Aspects such as your skin tone, hair texture, the size of your nose, the size of your lips, the size of your hips, all those aspects relating to your body are considered your body image. And body image can be broken down into two dimensions. There's positive and negative. An example of positive body image would be body appreciation. And that is basically the idea of kind of valuing your body for what it does for you, as opposed to kind of focusing more so on how it looks. And an example of negative body image is body dysmorphia. And this deals with believing that you are bigger than what you really are or smaller than what you really are. And your feelings about your body can be mixed, meaning that you can feel both positive and negative feelings at the same time, or your feelings about your body can change at any point. Your feelings about your body can also be very situational, meaning that there may be a certain event, person, or context that makes you feel different about your body in that moment. So I'll give you an example. So let's imagine that there's a teen boy who's on, let's say, a sport team like football. And one day they have to change in front of their peers. In that moment, they realize that they look a little different than their peers and feel a little self-conscious, but usually they feel pretty good about themselves. So in that specific moment, they were doubting how they felt because they were engaging in what is known as social comparison. And I use an example of a young boy because when we typically think about body image concerns, we constantly assume that it's a young women or young girls issue. But in fact, we find that young boys and young men also struggle with their body image as well, but their struggle tends to be a little different. Young men are expected to be very fit, muscular, or very tall, as opposed to young women are kind of expected to be petite, skinny, and small. So I really want to highlight that young men also struggle with their body image as well, but their struggles may be a little different than what young women are pressured or experience. So why should we care about this? Is this an issue? Well, Allure filmed this video featuring young girls from the ages of 6 to 18 and asked them, how do you feel about your body image? What do you know about body image? And I think this video does a really great job at highlighting why this is a concern and why we should be talking about this more. Sadly, they didn't do a video with young men. Hopefully they'll do that in the future, or maybe that's something I can do in the future, but we'll watch this video together. I'll have 2 questions that I'll pose to you all, and then we'll have breakout rooms to kind of discuss how we felt from the video, what we saw and what we learned from the video. All right, so.
Among my friends, the biggest insecurity is probably like what their body looks like. Not so much their face, but what their body is. Like they always complain like, oh, I'm too chubby, or like, oh, I look like this.
I have struggled with my body. Yeah, I feel sometimes really insecure in my own skin about it. My legs, for instance, there's that whole entire like trend in the media about the thigh gap. Like I don't have that, like that makes me not normal, that makes me not beautiful. I think I've gotten to the point where I accept that. I don't know, I still kind of struggle with that.
I have this friend who's like super skinny and like, cause she's always dancing. And I feel like I wish that like, my mom says I'm skinny or something, but not all the time that makes you really think that you're actually skinny because it's from your mom or your dad. And they just tell you the best things about you. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. And so I wear black leggings because I feel they make me look small or skinny.
People used to call me fat all the time and it would really bring me down.
Especially within my friend group at school, all the girls are so skinny, like it's crazy. I don't like think I'm large or anything like that, but I'm definitely not as skinny as all my friends. And I used to really struggle with that, especially in the beginning of the years of high school.
I just want to kind of fit in the best that I can.
Sometimes my height comes
into being insecure because like I'm so much taller than like most of my friends.
I was by far the tallest girl, always. And up until about like literally like senior year of high school this year, I was taller than a lot of the boys in my class. I hated it. Like it drove me crazy. Like I would come back from camp even and my mom would always say to me like, oh, you have the tall girl slouch. Like you have to stand up more because I'd literally slouch. So I was shorter.
They would say all sorts of things to me, and it was really hurtful, but I just brushed it off. It's fine.
The other day, this girl I know posted on her Finsta saying people that don't look good in bikinis shouldn't go out in public in bikinis, and it started like this whole big thing, and it hurt a lot of like my own friends' feelings.
The other day, actually, I saw a comment on one of my really good friends. It was saying, "You're so fat, like you need to lose weight."
When I was in middle school, they had Decade Day. I dressed as Madonna, and the kid in my grade came up to me and he goes, "Who are you supposed to be?" I'm like, I'm Madonna. And he goes, "Isn't Madonna supposed to be skinny?" I don't, what do you even say to that?
In 8th grade, I didn't necessarily struggle with an eating disorder, but I definitely like went through periods of time where I would be like fasting.
Lately, there are a lot of people out there who advertise having a larger butt or larger breasts and then a tiny skinny waist.
I know a term nowadays is slim thick, so even if some parts of you are slim, other parts of you have to be full, and you know, it has to be a good balance in everything you face. Everything has to be proportional.
Honestly, I just don't really feel comfortable in my own skin sometimes. I just don't look in the mirror often and just call it a day. I just don't feel comfortable about my height, how my face structure is, sometimes the nose. I don't know. I just avoid looking in the mirror because if I do, then I'll just think of how I want to be. But if I don't, I just think, hey, this is how I am. Let's deal with it.
I would just say find something that you love on your body. You have to love something.
I like about my body is that I have good muscles in my leg from doing all that flipping and cartwheel and handstands. I have strong arms and legs for gymnastics. My body's strong. I could almost do a split.
I really like my eyes. I think they're really big and nice.
I have green eyes, I like them.
My eyes.
My eyes.
I like how everything like looks and how everything is on the inside also.
I like my skin color because it's different than most people and it's just unique about me.
Sometimes I look into the mirror and I'm like, I'm so beautiful, and that makes me feel better.
It's among my friends.
You're on mute, Evelina.
I think I'll stop the video there, but the rest of the video kind of has them highlighting something that they love about themselves. And it's just interesting that the younger girls tend to have an easier time being able to come up with something that they love about themselves. But I think in general, the videos can be really hard to kind of process because a lot of what they say is just really heartbreaking. At least for me, that's how I feel every time I watch this video. But I think it really does a great job at highlighting like why we should care about this. And so I want you to process what you saw, kind of what you heard, and think about these two questions. How did that video make you feel, and what stood out to you? And then you'll be added to a breakout room. We'll have about 5 minutes to discuss, kind of if you're willing to share, and then we'll come together and share what we thought. And Aubrey will be putting you all in a breakout room.
Yep, and then I'm going to pause the recording for this, and then I will resume it once we return from breakouts.
So we're slowly starting to get more people back to the bigger webinar, bigger room, I guess. Okay, I think everyone's back now. All right. Would two brave souls love to kind of share what they talked about or anything that they would like to share in general regarding to the two questions, you can unmute yourself if you feel comfortable, or you can just type it in the chat. I'm sure there was some good discussion, so at least two brave souls that would like to share.
I'll speak up. This is Carrie. In our group, I think we all agreed with you in that the predominant emotion was sadness. It's so disheartening that these young girls are still, because this is not new, are still feeling this way, are still so focused on their appearance, and that their value as people is tied up in how they look.
Yeah.
And it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I think the people in our group who had the opportunity to speak all seem to feel the same way. I'm not sure that we quite got to everyone in our group.
Well, thank you so much, Carrie, for sharing. Yeah, it is hard, and we'll talk about why that happens and what impacts them, what leads them to feel that way a little bit more further along in the PowerPoint. But yes, definitely agree with everything you said. Would anyone else like to share what they felt or talked about?
Our group talked about all the same things, all the same feelings, but then we also talked about how it makes us feel as a parent. Like,
yeah,
some of the things that maybe we try so hard not to say to our kids, that little things that they pick up on in the video, they talked about some of the things. So sometimes I think too much about if I'm saying the right thing or how I'm doing things, because I don't want to
travel. Capital One has a rewards credit.
because I don't want to cause those issues. But so we took it to another level of as parents as well. Besides how sad it was to hear them all talk like that. So
yeah, I really appreciate your vulnerability, and I'm glad that you brought that up because a lot of parents don't realize kind of what they're doing or saying, and sometimes it just comes out without you intentionally trying to cause them harm. And I'll talk about that a lot, but I really appreciate you highlighting that because I'm sure that's the reality for many parents as well. All right, so thank you both for sharing. I'll keep going. Okay, so there are many key factors that can influence an adolescent's body image. More specifically, adolescents' body image is influenced by a variety of social, emotional, and physical factors, and these factors can shape how young people view themselves and their bodies, affecting their overall mental and emotional well-being. Some social factors include peers and friends. If one friend is struggling and constantly projecting onto your child or another child or a teen, they may fall victim to also experiencing body dissatisfaction, or if they surround themselves with individuals who are pretty positive, feel confident in themselves, they are more likely to also feel that way too. We also know that media and social media, this includes films, videos, ads, magazines, social media, which includes TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube. And the reason why social media and media in general are so influential is because they are constantly pushing on these ideals to young people. We also know that cultural and societal standards can also influence teens as well. And for example, in the US, we know that there's a lot of focus placed on physical appearance. In fact, people are treated differently based on how they look. In other cultures, we'll see that there's more preference given to how an individual treats other people, who they are inside. But sadly, in the US, there's this focus, hyper focus on how an individual is supposed to look. And lastly, and very important, family. This includes parents, siblings, extended family like cousins, aunts, grandparents as well. And one way that family can influence teens is through modeling behavior. So if a parent is being restrictive in terms of what they're eating or labeling things as being bad food versus good food, teens pick up on this. They pick up on these cues and they start to think and internalize what their families, essentially, the environment is saying about how they should look and what they should be aiming for. So social media has such a huge influence on adolescents' body image because teens spend so much time on their phones. In fact, it is estimated that in 2023, on average, teens spent 4.8 hours a day on average on social media. And this was on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So that is crazy, 4.8 hours a day. And we know that increased time spent online heightens the risk to exposure of risky content like bad diets, the normalization of this spread of health related misinformation, being exposed to these constant weight loss medication ads. And all this constantly can be very harmful. Thus, social media plays a powerful role in shaping body image perceptions, particularly through the messages that it's constantly spreading to young people. And this leads to young people engaging in what is known as social comparison. So them comparing themselves to what they see across social media. And for many, they don't really understand that a lot of social media is very fake. People edit their photos, Photoshop, filter their photos, and it's very common for influencers to also kind of encourage them to engage in this toxic diet culture of, oh, you can lose 10 pounds if you just do this, or if you avoid all carbs. And this can be really challenging for teens to navigate, and seeing it constantly can cause them to internalize what they're seeing. However, we do know that there are several influencers who are part of the positive body image movement who promote kind of realistic bodies with different abilities. And we know that being exposed to those positive messages can actually help teens feel welcomed and seen. So in general, being exposed to these harmful appearance messages can be especially very difficult for them because they already feel this pressure to fit in during adolescence and are also having to navigate kind of the physical changes that they go through during this time, as well as the emotional changes they experience due to puberty. Some emotional factors include self-esteem. Those with higher self-esteem tend to have a more positive outlook of their body, and this is because self-esteem impacts how individuals perceive of themselves, and one of them being their physical appearance. We also know that anxiety and depression can distort an individual's body image. And some research has found that individuals who are perfectionists tend to be more critical of themselves and thus are more at risk for body dissatisfaction. Lastly, some physical factors include, like I mentioned, puberty. Puberty occurs in adolescence, and it leads them to feel very foreign in their bodies. We also have genetics. Genetics can influence metabolism and body fat distribution, which can influence risk of obesity and impact body image. And we also know that hormonal changes plays a big role as well. This can influence skin texture, which we found that individuals that struggle with acne tend to feel more vulnerable and at risk of struggling with their appearance. We also know that these social, emotional, and physical factors can also intersect in complex ways to kind of influence an adolescent's body. It's not necessarily that it's one specific factor from one specific component, but more so that they interact dynamically to influence how an individual feels about their body. And I'll give you an example. So let's say we have a teen who is a late bloomer, which is a physical factor. They may experience peer teasing as a result, which is a social factor, and may feel anxious about their bodies, meaning it would be an emotional factor. And we know that adolescents may experience these factors in varying degrees, but I also want to highlight that these are not all the factors that we know that can impact them, but more so the more common ones that we see across the literature. And I want to shift and kind of share some of the signs to look for if you know that your teen might be struggling with their body image to kind of figure out, okay, when do I know I need to intervene, or how do I know if I need to help them? It's also important to know that they may feel many of these symptoms at different time points. So it's not just one thing, it may be multiple things as well. So starting with emotional signs, one being that they're engaging in frequent self-criticism. So if they're constantly highlighting their flaws, comparing themselves to other people in a negative way, if they have low self-esteem, if their kind of self-worth is tied to how they look, right? We also have feelings of shame or guilt. So if they're feeling embarrassed about how they look or feeling guilty for their body size and commenting on that. Some cognitive signs include distorted body perception. So this would be if someone's kind of struggling with body dysmorphia. So believing that they look bigger than what they really are, or believing that they look way worse than other people. We also have preoccupation with appearance. So if they are spending excessive time thinking about how they look or worrying about what others may say about them. We also have internalization of unrealistic beauty ideals. So if they are constantly feeling this pressure to conform to these unrealistic beauty standards that are set in society. Some behavioral signs include avoidance of social events. So if they're skipping events, especially those where they might be a little vulnerable, like having to go swimming, or if there's going to be a birthday party and they know that there's going to be a lot of people taking selfies. Obsessive grooming or hiding. This would be if they are overusing makeup, wearing baggy clothes to hide the figure, or like Izzy from the video, the 10-year-old who said that they wear black leggings to hide themselves, to make themselves look smaller. We also have compulsive body checking. So this is if they are frequently checking mirrors, constantly weighing themselves, constantly like repositioning their bodies to see how their clothes are fitting them. And of course, we have restrictive or disordered eating. So if they're limiting their food intake, binge eating, or over-exercising in an attempt to kind of change how they look. We also have physical and health-related signs. Stress, anxiety, depression. We know that those that are struggling with this may experience physical symptoms like not being able to sleep, having an upset stomach. We also see that they tend to neglect self-care. So if you find that they are not taking a shower, doing the things that they love because they feel not worthy of it. And lastly, some social signs include seeking constant reassurance. So whether or not they're seeking constant reassurance from you, from their friends, constantly asking, do I look good? Should I change? Or struggling with intimacy in relationships. This could look like trying to isolate themselves, not wanting to make friends, not wanting to be seen, hiding themselves essentially. So that is a lot of information. I shared the factors that can impact them, but also some signs to watch out for to know when your teen might need some help. I wanted to pause here a little bit just for like 2 or 3 minutes to see if anybody has any questions about the material that I just shared, or any comments that they would like to express, or anything at all that they would like to share with me. Because I know it's a lot of information and it can be a lot to digest, but I also think it's very important to know as well. And if no one has any questions or concerns or comments, that is perfectly okay too. Okay.
Will you be talking about ways to help adolescents improve these areas? Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yes, yeah. There's going to be a section of like what you can do. But I think it's just really important to know, okay, what can impact them? How does it impact them? And what are the signs to know if they are struggling? So yes, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll continue on. So now I'm going to shift and I want to talk about more about the importance of healthy eating and the common eating habits in teens. So healthy eating during adolescence is crucial because this stage is marked by rapid physical, emotional, and cognitive development. And one of the most important reasons why nutrition is so important is because they experience significant growth spurts, which requires them to have adequate nutrients to support bone development, muscle growth, and hormonal changes. We also know that a balanced diet can help improve concentration, memory, and overall brain function, which is really essential for academic performance and decision making. If they feel tired because they're kind of hungry, they're not going to make great decisions, as I don't make great decisions myself. We also know that a balanced diet is linked to better mood regulation and reduced risk of anxiety and depression. It also promotes their overall body image and self-esteem. When they eat good, they feel good about themselves. And we know that during this time, adolescents are kind of developing their identity. They're trying to figure out what they love about themselves, what they want to do, or any changes in their life. And we also know that this is an important time for them to start developing these long-term kind of behaviors or things that they tend to gravitate towards. So this is typically a time when we see that they create these lifelong dietary behaviors, and this can influence their future food choices. So typically when we see that an adolescent may be struggling with having an unhealthy relationship with food, we tend to see that sometimes it can go on into young adulthood. So this is why it's really important to kind of promote this image of, just eat food that makes you feel good, but not necessarily focusing on whether or not it's considered good food or bad. So what are some common eating habits in teens? The first one is not a surprise. Many of them skip meals. Breakfast skipping is really popular because due to time constraints, many of them also don't really feel hungry, and some of them may do it because of weight concerns as well. We also know that teens tend to eat at very inconsistent times, and this is because they may be involved in too many extracurricular activities and then may end up having to binge later to make up for the hunger for not eating breakfast. We also know that over time, there's been an increase in high consumption of ultra-processed foods, and this includes fast food, packaged snacks, microwavable food, and sugary beverages. And this is kind of because it's very convenient, it's also accessible, and it's relatively pretty cheap. But we know that high consumption can be very harmful. We also know that teens tend to emotionally eat. For many, food can be very comforting for them. And during this time, they're experiencing all these changes, and some of them may seek comfort in consuming certain types of food. I know for me, when I'm having a bad day, I always think, I can get a pizza and it'd be easy to, and I'd feel better about myself. So teens go through a lot, and sometimes many of them will just eat because it comforts them. We also know that some teens engage in dieting, calorie counting, or restricting food intake due to body image concerns or pressure from their friends as well. In fact, one study found that 37.6% of adolescents tried to lose weight, but the common method that they tried to lose weight by was by eating less. So they were restricting how much they could eat, which we know can be very harmful to their development. All right, so I kind of have a little icebreaker kind of question, myth or fact. And the first question being, only girls struggle with body image. In the chat, please say, do you think this is a myth or fact? I kind of talked about this in the beginning of the presentation. Yes, it is a myth, big time myth. Okay, perfect. Social media does not affect how youth feel about themselves. Myth or fact? Yes, myth. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So now we're going to talk about what you can do as parents or as people that work with young teens. And you may feel like, well, during this time, you're starting to notice that your teen is spending more time outside of the family context, which may make you feel like I might not have an influence on them anymore. But that is not true. You continue to have such a big impact on your teens. And there's many things that you can do that can actually help them develop this healthy image about their body. And the first and most important thing is being a good role model yourself. For example, Don't criticize yourself or other people in front of your teen. Avoid engaging in restrictive eating behaviors yourself. Limit your own consumption of social media and demonstrate healthy exercise behaviors without focusing on engaging in exercise because you want to lose weight, but rather highlighting that you do it because you love your body and it makes you feel really good. Another way is by being their safe place. You can be that by fostering open communication, listening to their concerns about their body image without dismissing them or minimizing their experiences. You can also share your own experience with your own body image struggles in a way that promotes growth. Encourage them to express their feelings without judgment. And doing this really validates their experiences and their feelings, making them feel like you are a safe place for them to go to. Another way is to encourage teens to appreciate their bodies for what their bodies do for them on a daily basis, as opposed to how they look. Compliment your teen on what makes them unique. Are they funny? Are they supportive? Are they loving? Are they willing to help a stranger? Highlight those things that makes them so unique and makes you love them so hard. And another really important one is it's very important to encourage them to seek out healthy relationships. So help them recognize when a friend may be causing them harm or encouraging them to have kind of an unhealthy image of themselves. Encourage them to seek out people who really value them and uplift them and love them for who they are. It also might come to a time where you might have to help your teen identify whether or not they need to set boundaries with people, especially if you notice that it's impacting how they perceive of themselves. And by doing this, this will promote overall self-compassion in your teen. So how can you help your teen navigate social media? The really important one is social media literacy. And this is essentially is the idea of kind of helping your teen navigate and understand that a lot of what you see on social media is very fake. People use filters, people Photoshop, people edit their images extensively. We also know that people are always curating their social media. So they only want a certain image to be put on social media. And this will help them start to critically analyze what they're seeing and what they're consuming on social media. It's also important to help them understand that it might come to a time where they need to set boundaries. I know on phones, you can start putting a limit on how much time you spend on a certain app. Helping them navigate that is also a really great tool as well. Something else you can do is kind of encourage them to follow and seek out body positive content influencers. I know for me, I follow a bunch, and there's one in particular that I really love who is considered a mid-size influencer, and she posts daily images of herself in different outfits from different angles, and it really makes me feel seen and valued. Okay. Now, how can we promote healthy eating? Well, you can involve them in meal planning. Have them come up with ideas of what they want to eat, or have them go with you grocery shopping. Another one is being a good role model, like I mentioned. Avoid negative food talk. Don't label things as being good versus bad, because this can kind of promote them to have an unhealthy relationship with food, which we know can be very harmful. Another way you can promote healthy eating is by having family meals together. Research continues to find that when families eat together, it promotes family cohesion, parent-adolescent relationships, and overall well-being in teens. Another one that can be hard is don't allow phones at the table or any access to a TV. This will allow them to actually savor their food, eat their food, and kind of start connecting with their body to understand when they're full and don't have to eat, which when you're distracted while you're eating, this can lead to binge eating without realizing it. Okay. All right, so this is our last activity. I'm going to open a word bubble. And what I want you all to do is kind of write down one goal for how you will actively promote positive body image in your home. And I need to change this and stop sharing my screen for a little bit. Okay, and so what you will do is you will scan the QR code, or you can go to the website to kind of put your response. So I want you to write down one goal for how you will actively promote positive body image in your home. And then it should start populating so we can see everyone else's responses. And I will also want to be strong. Okay, I love that. Yes, that's great. Yes, I love that. Involve kids in meal planning. Meal planning together. Yeah. For me, I love grocery shopping, but some people might not love it. It's like my favorite thing to do. Yeah, that's right. Walk in nature. I love that. Yes. Open conversation. Something I do that I personally love is I do the sticky note affirmation every single day. And so I will write a sticky note, highlight something that I love about myself or something that I'm proud about, or just anything. And seeing that and I walk through it every single day, it makes me feel so good. And I absolutely love it. Sometimes I've even like written really positive self-affirmations and left them in different places, in bathrooms and stuff. And I just love that people really love seeing those things. Have positive comments, yeah, being a good role model. I will say though, being a good role model or being a role model can be hard sometimes. We have our bad days, and that's completely okay. But having an open conversation with your teen can help alleviate that. Really great. Oh, I love that. Someone else said that they have positive messages. That's great. Monitor my comments about my eating habits. Yeah, I have to do the same too. This is awesome. I think there's one more person, so I'll wait until their response is submitted. I think that might be it. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, so here's a reflection. Would anyone like to share something that they learned today, or something they were surprised by, or anything that they would like to share? If there is something, please share it in the chat. So share anything that you learned today, or anything you want to do different, or just anything you would like to share.
I'll say that in the work that we do, so I work with Extension, and I think that we need to do a better job of kind of changing the narrative in the work that we do. Like, if social media, of course, it can be a negative thing, we can also turn it into something positive with messaging that we share about nutrition or any of that kind of stuff. So I think that this is encouraging too. I mean, it was like understanding, like thinking for myself. So I appreciate this presentation, just kind of going deeper into my thought process as a parent, but then also um, when we're teaching, especially youth, and talking about, I always talk about just wanting to have a healthy body, and we always say healthy diet, and diet is such a not a good word, I think. So just trying to reiterate some of that across our program and how we can maybe shine some light on that. So,
Yeah, I love everything you said. And you're right. Social media, I mean, there is some downfalls about it, but you can also use it to your advantage to promote really beautiful messages that are healthy and will promote, like actually promote good, right? So I think, yeah, definitely, for sure. Someone mentioned in the chat if I have any resources. So I do. So let me go to the next page. So I I created this evaluation, and if you would like for me to send you this kind of like document with all these resources that I found, I can definitely do that. Let me put my evaluation form link on there, and it's a list of different places that encourage like communication about how to talk to your kid about body image, when to know if they're struggling, some activities to do with your kids. So definitely very great. Let me put the
I linked it,
link in the
Evelina.
chat. Oh, you did?
Yep.
Perfect. So if you could please fill that out and give me some feedback, what you liked about it, what you didn't like, how I can improve, or if there's anything you would have liked me to highlight. And then if you would like me to share the resources document, just leave your email and I will definitely share all that information. But before we end, thank you so much. This was amazing. I loved everything that you all shared with me, made me think about things as well. Does anyone have any questions about anything or just any comments that they would like to share? And this was amazing. I loved it so much. It was so much fun.
The hope is that tonight's recording is successful. And if that is the case, I will be sending an email to everybody that registered with the link to the eval if you don't get the chance to fill it out tonight, in addition to hopefully the recording itself, so you can access it and then spread the word later. Feel free to reach out to Evelina if you have any additional questions, or you're like, hey, can you do this talk again? You can also reach out to me as well. Extension is there to partner with communities when we see needs come up. We've got a lot of people on the ground doing a variety of different things, so keep us in mind if there is something that you're like, hey, we got to work on this.
For sure. And I will highlight, like, I missed out so many things. Like, for example, we know that ethnic minority youth tend to struggle with their body image in different ways. For example, skin tone, the messages that they receive from their peers or from media regarding how someone should look. So that's definitely something that I would have loved to expand on, but with limited time, I didn't. So if there's anything that you think that, maybe we can do this again and highlight specific things, that'd be great.
okay, one thing, sorry, I know I'm the person in the room with the
No,
last
no.
minute, but
That's
I was
okay.
just thinking about, I work with a lot of lower income communities. And so then I just think of food, you think of body image and it's like what we're eating, but it's also what we have. So
Yep.
I just think that's a whole nother level of like education that I would love to hear more about how, I mean, we try to find unique ways to make a ramen skillet dish and add protein and yada yada, but that is like just a whole nother layer into the piece because you have what you have and that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
limited resources
definitely.
when it comes to that.
Yeah. And that makes me think about food insecurity as well. There's a lot of research
Yeah.
on food insecurity and body image. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. Yeah, but that's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you again for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And please reach out to me via email if you would like to meet to talk about something further or anything at all. I'm here for you all.
Thank you.